Hi, everybody. Today we're going to talk to you about kind of writing once and cashing in on that multiple times. So typically we talk about what we do as having like repurposing your content, but we've come to recognize that when we talk about that, we don't do kind of the same thing that most people do when they talk about that. So we kind of mean something different with that phrase than I'm sure not all, but than a lot of people that we've heard. So we wanted to talk to you today about how we create content basically once, and then we tweak it to do a multitude of other things. So, and both of us do this as much as we can.
I do like that.
Yeah.
Well, and it's not just about being lazy, it's that people want to consume things in different
Mhm.
formats. So, in a way, you can say, oh, yeah, I'm lazy, but no, you're really actually catering to different clientele and customers than you would normally be able to reach if you just stuck with your one way.
Yeah. And you're helping them, especially if you have content that where you're trying to teach people something, then you are hitting different learning styles by having the same content in different formats. So that can be a huge help for people so that they can choose what format they want to absorb the information from. So,
And
or
they
that
might
works
not
best.
just choose one.
Well, yeah, I think a lot of times people do like that, they decide they want it in all of them. And I know for me, when I consume content, sometimes I like to watch it, sometimes I like to hear it, sometimes I like to read it. So it just kind of depends on um,
Yeah.
especially if I'm going back to it, I tend to like to read because then I can flip through and, I can grab one of my highlights or something like that fairly quickly. But I enjoy hearing, I don't like the time it takes, but I enjoy hearing the person express themselves in like an audio or video format. So I like multiple.
I like to start with a book, and if I get really into it and I feel like I need more, then I
um,
have that option to up
yeah,
level.
yeah. So, and that is, books generally are much less expensive than audio or video content or a class or
I feel
anything like
less
that.
committed with the book
Hmm.
too. Like
Hmm.
I don't have anything else competing for my attention when I'm reading,
Yeah.
usually, hopefully, but I can put it down and not hurt somebody's feelings. I'm not walking out of their class or
Yeah. Yep. Which kind of works like on the pro side as well as the downside, because sometimes if you haven't made a large commitment, then you're not as vested in it as
right.
you would be if you made a bigger commitment. So it just kind of, but that's up
Yeah.
to them and their choice. I think for our perspective, giving them multiple opportunities to give you money and to learn in a way that suits them best, is just a win-win for everybody. So,
Yeah. And the other thing about books on the flip side of that too is you can investigate somebody without really, you have a lot more time to pick through and take it at your
mhm.
own pace, get to know who they are and see if you're in alignment with what they're teaching,
Yeah.
which I think is a boon as an author of generally very weird things.
Yeah.
A book is like the least threatening way that they can check me out.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not super expensive typically,
Yeah.
less than $20 at most generally. So,
Yeah.
and often if it's an ebook, less than 10. So yeah, it's not a big financial commitment that they've made either.
Hmm.
So, and, it's for the most part, it's hands off from you. So even if you're only making a buck or two off a book sale, you're not, once you have the book out there, it's not
Right.
really, costing you time, effort, or energy to have more people read.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and there have been people that I could tell they were on the fence, and I'd be like, hey, just go download the free sample on Kindle and,
mhm,
read that part, see what you think,
yeah,
which is really nice, that I can.
yeah, absolutely. So we thought we would share some of our examples. I have written more books than Seneca has. I always joke around that when people are getting started on their publishing journey to be aware that they multiply like rabbits.
How many do you have? What's the total now?
I think about 36 last time I checked.
That's less
So,
than I thought.
well, I'm running a little bit behind this year on my publishing schedule. I thought I'd be about to 40 by now. But okay. Some other things have cropped up that I've needed to divert my attention to. So I have I think 3 that I just need to kind of put together and get out there. So
Alice's first book was repurpose content
absolutely.
that she got suckered into doing.
Yes. That's what I tell everybody. This is an old copy. So if you go on Amazon or wherever, the cover looks different. I've updated that a couple of years ago. So, but these started out in as blog posts. No. Started out as a 1-page PDF, and then it was email auto sequence, and then it was blog posts, and then it was a book. And now I guess it's a book. So the one thing that I haven't done with this, the main purpose of creating this content was kind of to introduce people to me for my inner healing business. And then I also gave this, I started out giving people just the PDF version of it when they would work with me as a one-on-one client. And then after I published the book, I started giving them the book. So, and if you're in that kind of a field, just kind of a little aside, the response when I handed people a book versus a PDF, and it was a full color, it was all pretty and nice. The response was they were much more impressed, and like people would bring it back and they'd have it flagged and highlighted and that kind of thing. So as a tool, I know it actually got used, whereas the PDF is maybe iffy. So, but yeah, I always joke that Seneca tricked me into writing this book. And it's been downhill from there.
And then we tricked ourselves into writing this one. A co-author, me, Del, and Alice. So that was a blog post. Started out as a really long blog post, and then we thought, well, it's already that long, we might as well just pad it a little bit and put it on Kindle short reads and see what happens.
Yeah.
It was getting a lot of traction as a blog post too. Well, I'll add that in. It was pretty successful. So
yeah.
That was our clue that maybe we should flesh it out and turn it into a book. So we were just gonna, get it to 7,000 words or something for Kindle short reads and quit there. But then it mushroomed and
yeah.
But it was like a 3-week writing process, maybe a month.
Yeah. It didn't take long. Yeah, it went really, really quickly. So, and it continues to sell. That was in 2017, I think.
2016.
So, and it continues to sell very well. So that's been cool.
It was a fun one.
It was.
Another one that started as a blog post for me was this one. I wrote that post and it started getting all kinds of traction on Google. So I just made a book out of it really quick, because I wrote the blog post in anticipation of the Shemitah year coming up. And so I had maybe a month to get this thing out, which I did. So there'll probably be a second edition at some point where I do a better job.
Yeah.
But more people bought that than I expected. So
yeah. And that is a good point, that if you're considering publishing, we so often think about a book being a permanent thing. And while that's true in some sense, like once you have something printed, it's out there, but you can revise it. You can do a second edition, third edition, 10th edition, you can still add and develop your books as you go along and just update it and, make sure that your cover, your description reflects that. And, so it doesn't have to be perfected. It can be, you want it to be like edited and as close to perfect as you can. But as far as content goes, if it's something that, just like for Seneca, she's still kind of working through some of that stuff. There's things that she's learned this year going through the Shemitah year, I'm sure, that she'd want to include next time. So she's got 6 years to shape it up
Yeah.
and get it out there. So, but I think perfectionism can rear its ugly head there. So it's good
Yeah,
to,
it really can. And just the pressure, I think, of making sure you're correct and you're right and all
mhm,
your theology is square. I always felt sorry for authors for that because I don't even agree with things that I said last week. How am I going to put it down in the permanence of a book? But you
yeah.
just do the best you can with where you're at
Hmm. Yep. And go on
because
from
nobody
there.
has it all right.
Yeah. So, and part of the reason why I have so many books is because I have a series of 14 books that also started out as blog posts. And the part of our why we do it that way is then it allows you to get some feedback. So early feedback on, and to see, just like the accessing, we probably would never have put that into a book that wasn't even on our radar, except that people seemed to really respond well to it.
Hmm.
So it's kind of a good kind of market testing procedure. So this set of books is now, I'm now kind of slicing and dicing them. I've created an omnibus, which is very satisfyingly large. Most of my books are fairly short, so I was really liking having a nice fat spine on that one. And it's designed more, I mean, obviously, hopefully most people don't have to work through all 14 of the books. They're meant to be individual, but then this way it can be a good resource. So, and then also I started doing a series of books on the emotional roots of different physical conditions. So I have included in each of this book, there's kind of new content, and then there's like the 4 or 5 books of the overcoming series in the back of this one. So instead of recommending, like in the blog post, I just recommended that people go and purchase, and they can purchase whichever they want. They're all included here for people's convenience. And then I also have a class that I have developed out of all of that content as well. So it's kind of, again, multiple ways of getting the information. And you'll notice that one of the things that we hear a lot about, well, but it's, the information is available for free on your website, so why would I put it in a book? Is that a problem? It is a problem if you're going to go with Kindle Unlimited or Kindle Select. So because the content has to be exclusive with Amazon if you do that. So we didn't do that. But other than that, no, it's not a problem at all. So this gives people the freedom to not be on the computer, to, read it in a different format. I prefer reading not on a screen, or at least not on my computer if I'm going to read on a screen. So it's just, again, a different way for people to access your content. So
Well, and there's usually, I know on our other ones, we put more information in the book than we did in the blog post.
yeah,
I mean, there's certainly enough information in the blog post that somebody can take it and run with it. But,
yeah,
if they're having trouble for whatever reason and need it explained more thoroughly.
yeah. And that's also a good way to do that in the book. And some of for in the class, there's some things that I go into that don't translate well to print. So that way I can show, like, okay, this is how you do these particular tools, and that's more helpful for people.
Yeah.
So
And I was trying to think about books and classes, like which do you do first? It's sort of like chicken and the egg sometimes. And
mhm,
the nice thing about the class is you can run a beta group through it and, see what kind of questions they ask and what kind of misconceptions they have that you wouldn't have figured out by
yeah,
putting it in a book. So
yeah,
then you have all of that worked out by the time you get your book together.
Hmm.
You could just take all the content from your class and put it in a book. We did that with Supernatural Business because we were running that class for quite a while first.
Yeah. So, and this is the challenge. It's not
Yeah.
our full foundations class. But it's the same thing. We kind of went a little bit more in depth, and
Yeah.
so
So if you buy the book, there's a code in the book to get you into the class for free. So
yep.
really probably should buy the book.
Yeah. The best of both worlds that way. Yeah. Absolutely. So, and then for through the last several years, I've done a few different series of artwork, and then I've also put them into books. So I did one on Peace in the Storm, and I actually started this during Lent, right before COVID hit, and I didn't understand why God was asking me to do this particular series of paintings, and then COVID hit, and the world locked down, and all the chaos erupted. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that's why. So I put that in a book so that it's available, so that all of the pieces are available. They're available on my website as blogs or whatever, but this way you can people can look at all of them. And then I started doing smaller watercolor pieces with called Artful Prayers. So, and they also these include a prayer, so for different things. And then I did one for the 50 states as well. So both of these I posted on social media, and then I think I did the book, and then I did classes. So maybe I did the class first. So I did like a short challenge for people with this one. And so there's kind of different, and I think they're available as like a worksheet kind of downloadable thing that you can do your own series. And so I've, used my artwork, which is a more of a visual medium, not so much a written one, but used it to do the same concept that we're talking about. So
Yeah.
people have more access to those. And so,
Well, I was running a subscription box club where people would subscribe and they get a box every month that had a flower essence, a piece of jewelry, and a prophetic write-up of what was going on that month. And did that for several years and got it all worked out and put this book out. You can't see it very well on camera, but it's Healing in the Hebrew Months, Prophetic Strategies Hidden in the Tribes, Constellations, Gates, and Gems. So that was my big repurpose of just taking the letters from the month and stripping anything super time sensitive out of it or time specific out of it and keeping with the themes of the different Hebrew months every month. So that's been doing really well too for me. I've been pretty much up. Well, I haven't checked the charts in a long time, but for several years I'm outselling Chuck Pierce and some of those guys. So,
yeah.
And it's a funnel back to my business.
Yeah. And that's kind of the other thing. Then if you do a product, if you do some of the other things, then if you can have it to where people come back and then they get to know you and they want to work with you. So I've received quite a few clients from this book, which has been nice. So,
Yeah.
and not everybody tells you, but when they do, it's
I get it from Broken to Whole, that book. Yeah.
yeah.
And none of that was really repurposed stuff, but it's definitely been a good sales tool.
Yeah. Yep. So, and that's one of the things that, just like we're talking about, when you do something that's out of the box and it's not kind of normal, I guess, in quotes, then by having something that's non-threatening to people, they can kind of get to know you, and then they can make up their mind as to if you're someone they want to do business with or not. So that way, and I think that is applicable regardless of what kind of product or service that you might have. And even if it's not necessarily, weird or different, but even if it's fairly common, like being a chiropractor or a doctor or something like that, but you want that people tend to have a lot of misconceptions about what you do, then you can, have a short book and outline that. And it's a fantastic kind of lead customer generation tool as well as a referral tool. So, and that's one of the things that I wish I had known before I, had thought about when I did this one, because then I would have given people 2 books or 3 books. It's one for you and one for a friend.
Yeah. Well, and to be clear for the audience who may not know, they may be $2.50 in printing costs on
Right.
those
Yeah.
with no minimum order. So
yeah. And that's
no reason not to do this.
Yeah. And one of the things, like I said, of course, I did, full color PD because, it's the artist in me, but so I did expensive printing, but I had, I think 2 or 3 pieces of paper, 8.5 by 11 sheets in a folder, and it was a nice folder that cost me more than this to print, and printing costs have gone up. Sorry, my cat just attacked me. But and I haven't priced the other things, but my guess would be that I'm still farther ahead. So partly when I ran out of the PDFs is when I started doing this, and that's when I noticed, oh, like people actually really like this better. It's not just oh, okay, thanks. So
yeah.
So, and that depends on the size of the book, and if you've got color or not. Color printing definitely adds a significant premium to that, but you can do very attractive things without and make it very nicely designed without using color on the inside. So there. So
probably just if you're in the art niche, that would be a deal breaker.
Yeah, somehow you can't really do artwork without and that's in these are in full color, so that way because color is a key component of what I'm showing.
Yeah.
So but I wouldn't and like this one actually I use the same colors for this one, but I just grade them out for the inside, so that way that's fine. We did that on this book too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't have one of the new copies of.
Oh, I
don't know. So.
Yep. I got it.
Yeah. So you can have things look very nice, be very well designed, and so images inside your book don't increase the cost unless you go with color. So as long as they're grayscale or black and white, then it's number of pages. So it's the
that means you can write short.
Mm-hmm. And shorter is really better for people too, especially if it's kind of like a lead gen type of thing where you're just wanting people to get to know you. Then you want it in a kind of a bite-sized, very easy to digest format, so that way they're not overwhelmed. I mean, I just can't even imagine handing somebody like something like this. They're going to be like, oh my word, no.
Right.
So
in a sense, that's what traditional publishers want you to do. They want a beefy book and they want you to put some padding in there. Yeah. So you can increase the number of pages so they can sell it at a certain amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just do self-publishing, then you don't have to put all that filler in there and you can sell it for less money.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't really matter.
Yeah. So, and or have your, and part of the pricing of books is, all the different platforms take their cut. So that's partly
well,
why.
and a publisher does too.
A publisher does a lot more so than yeah. But
so that's why they need that, that enough price and enough meat to the book that they can charge so that everybody actually makes some money, because there's not a lot of profit margin on books.
Yeah.
That's the bad thing. There's great profit margin in online classes, though. So if you can turn your book into an online class, that is where it's at.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. Turn your class into a book and, you
Mm-hmm.
know, announce in the book that there is a class in case they need more help.
Mm-hmm. Because one of the things that if you're, especially if you published on your account on Amazon, then you can, well, I think now they changed it. So even even if you're traditionally published or you've gone through a different publisher, then you can advertise um, a book on Amazon. So you're hitting kind of a different um, customer base. So, and one that's looking for books. So
Mm-hmm.
they're
And
ready.
what kind of books do you write?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they can be, and just like we said, they've been a very good referral tool for us. So it's it isn't just about getting the royalties, although those are nice.
Yeah, well, they just ensure that your marketing is paid for,
Mhm.
basically.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so if you have blog posts that are really doing well, consider making a book out of that.
Mhm.
If you are developing an online class, consider making a book out of that. If you've already got a book, consider making a class, especially if you got a workbook with it. That's
Yeah,
just begging for
yeah.
you to put something together online.
Hmm. And that would be a very simple um, kind of upgrade that you could offer. And one of the things too, just kind of, you don't have to start with it in a perfected form either. So you can have it just text and worksheets. If that's what you've got, then start there. And then you can gradually add in video or audio or other, formats for the class. But there are a lot of classes out there still that are just text based. So you just want to make sure,
One
you know,
thing, yeah, with that, there still needs to be some element of, help with that.
mhm,
So otherwise, why would they do that rather than just read the book? But,
yeah.
if they can ask questions or if you
Mhm.
have like a live Q&A thing or something like that along with it.
Yeah, a private Facebook group or Discord
Yeah.
or, something like that is perfect. So, and very quick and easy to get going.
Mhm.
So, and you can change that as you go along. You don't have to
Yep.
stay with if it's not working well for you, then change it. It's your content. You can do whatever you want with it. So, well, we hope we've given you guys a lot of good ideas as to how to maximize your profit potential and your income streams from the same content that you've already created. So, or if you're
And if you
considering
need help,
creating content, then, think about all the possibilities.
our foundations class is a year long for business, but it also includes an authoring and a self-publishing class for free when you join.
Mhm.
Obviously, Alice and I have done that enough that we can teach it. And courses too, because we've done those on 2 different course platforms. So
Yeah.
we'll help you get it figured out. We do tech workshops every other month, and we sit
Mhm.
down and walk people through it on Zoom.
Yep. So, and we've done that for quite a few of our fairly high proportion actually of our students. So, which is great. That's,
Yeah.
we're thrilled. We're super excited. So it's working really well for people. So, all right. Well,
All right.
we will put a bunch of links in the description so you can check out all our stuff if you'd like to. So talk to y'all later.